Is it just that like there's just like these two people going at it toe to toe fighting for it? Is it just like some people have way too much money? Like it could be a combination of all those factors, but there's also this strong attachment to the idea of the word Lotus, right? Like you're playing the game Magic, and everybody who even is just tangentially related to the game knows about Black Lotus, knows about the Moxes. So, you know, basically if you have a commission for Wizards, you should try to sneak in a Black Lotus somehow in your painting. That it will just increase the price, right?
Yeah, I mean, like what Jesper Edging, he did a Goblin Chart Belcher. He's like, I'm gonna make this thing shoot out some Power 9.
Yep, and then Wizards was like, nope.
No.
They altered it. They took it out, didn't they?
Really? No, it's in the painting.
Lotus is still in it.
Yeah.
No, one of the Sapphire I thought was taken out of it. I'm pretty sure it's like around his neck, isn't it?
Well, anyway, the point is like that painting was like we all expected. We guessed that it was a go for about $3,000, and then like people were just like, let's bid, and it is sold for $7,500.
Here's the other.
Like, oh, that's so interesting.
So the other crazy part is like you would think that with all this money flying around, that these auctions are taking place in like prime time areas, like either on eBay or like on the MTG art market. That one was literally done through private message. It was done through
added like 25 people to chat.
To a private message chat, and it's like it just sells itself, and it's really weird because some people they produce fantastic art and it just doesn't sell. Like you wonder like, well, why is this piece not selling, but this piece is, and it's just so weird because that attachment to it, and then it
the nostalgia.
Yeah, I mean,
what you're attached to, what you think of.
So like personally, my sort of thought process of why these pieces are going for what it is because there's a built-in 40 million person strong community that Magic has created this sort of perfect storm of, well, we know that these cards are worth money because we've been playing the game for years. We see them worth money because you can go to any con, you can go on eBay, you can just see the actual card has value. So there's faith in the system already, right? It's the same reason why like American dollars work. There's faith in the system. It's just paper, like no different. But so you have this faith in the system built in, and then you see that, all right, now these people that when they were younger, you know, they struggled to get that few $100s for, you know, a dual land or whatever for their decks. Now they have more disposable income, and now they want that next tier. Because everybody that I know that plays Magic, they always are like, ooh, shiny foils, ooh, you know, full art promos.
Ooh,
yeah,
Power 9.
yeah,
Ooh.
like I want this nice, you know, deck box that somebody custom made with cherry wood or whatever. And so like, you know, you see people spending money on the products, and then it's sort of like the next step is to be like, all right, well, I'm gonna get this, you know, metal print that, you know, that Mark Tedin is putting out. They're really cool, like limited edition, like metal prints that he's doing. Or I'm gonna get this, you know, limited edition canvas that, you know, Seb is putting out. And oh, I'm gonna get this, you know, this ink or this sketch, and then ultimately it's the paintings. And you know, sure, not a lot of people would just go spend 40 grand on a piece by John Avon, but that's really, it's not
that's not the norm.
Right, yeah, like you
could buy a painting for under $1,000.
Right, which we'll get to, the affordability of some of the other pieces. And so it's really great because there's a strong community now. I don't know if everybody here is on the MTG Art Market on Facebook. If you're not, there's a group on Facebook called the MTG Art Market.
That's where a lot of artists auction their pieces, and that's where a lot of the transactions for this, like the secondary market, happen.
And here's the crazy part: it's like 8,000 or 9,000 people strong now, and literally 2 years ago it didn't exist. And now
it's about education and knowledge too, right? A lot of people didn't even know they could buy Magic art.
Yeah,
like that you could own an original.
So Phil and I do like a booth display every once in a while at different GPs, or now they're called Magic Fest. And you know, we'll have a few people come up to us, and one of the reasons we do it, we don't make money there. Oftentimes we just go, we hang out, we bring a lot of art, and we have a display. Back in the pictures, we actually have a picture of us. Let's see if we can go back real quick. Top right, you see there's like the Phil and Jerry
middle
thing.
picture is fine.
Oh, middle one works too. Yeah. I didn't see that one. So anyway, a lot of people come up to us and be like, hey, can you sign our cards? And we're like, what cards? Like, oh, all these cards. I'm like, wait, do you think we did all the pieces behind us? Do you think we have that much range?
We'll have like 70 artist pieces up. And like, I have these 5 cards by 5 different artists. Like, can you sign these?
There'll be like a Nils Ham behind us, and there'll also be like a Lindsay. Like, yeah, we think we did both styles. So it's interesting. But like a lot of people, once you start talking, they'll be like, oh, wait, hold on. These people that do this, they're actually like, those are the ones over there, and they come to different cons. And so it's cool to sort of get people more interested in it, which is definitely happening.
And one of the reasons that Magic art wasn't super mega popular to be owned for a long time was because, you know, the people who played Magic weren't in a place in their lives where they would want art. But now we're hitting at a point where people are starting to reach stability in their jobs, their lives, buying houses, And that's kind of when you start, you know, like, what do I decorate my house with as a long-time Magic player of 25 years?
And you can do that in so many different versions. I mean, even if you only have a couple $100 of disposable income, you can get a really cool print from the artist that will frame up and look just as nice as the original. So what's cool, what I find personally really cool about where we're at with Magic right now is that Magic artists are realizing that the collectors are appreciating the artwork more. So before, when it was a gig to kind of just get like, you know, a 7x9 or 8x10 piece of artwork out and, you know, just get the job done, now artists are spending more time on them. They're, you know, doing, you know, photo references, and they're really getting involved in the project, and you're seeing progression from artists where they had, you know, just this sort of run-of-the-mill, yeah, I'm just going to get, you know, a warrior, you know, on a rock kind of pose, to now like, well, I'm actually going to, you know, figure this out and, you know, paint it really well and, you know, spend the time on it. And so you're seeing that that sort of individual sort of
beyond
approach.
that, right? Like, it's not even like as simple as that. Because a lot of artists prefer to work bigger. Like, they just don't like to noodle a lot and paint small. And the fact that there's a secondary market that can support them the way they want to paint is really important. For years, Ryan Pankos was painting small because he was like, well, I need to do this job in a certain amount of time, and how can I do that? Oh, I'll paint smaller. And his paintings were coming out worse, and he was spending just as much time on a small piece as he could on a big piece.
And
but the
so,
secondary market wasn't there to support it.
Right, you were buying those pieces for, so in 2012 or so, those pieces were going for as little as $250, $300, and nobody really wanted them. There really wasn't this collecting group and this community. And what's cool is now not only are you seeing traditional artists go, you know, harder with their pieces, but also you're seeing digital artists go and be like, hey, this is really cool. I can explore these territories. I mean, you got Noah Bradley painting a bunch of traditionals.
Victor Adaminguez.
Yeah, Victor Adaminguez. Yeah. So
even John Amon, you know, had started doing a bunch of digital art, and now he's like, oh, I mean, if you know, there's a market for this, I'll paint something too. $40,000.
Yeah.
So,
well, also the lands too. The
island that sold for 20.
Yeah. So, and that was even before, like that was a couple of years ago now, right? Year and a half.
Year and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see.
Well, you know, let's go over some of these pieces.
Sure.
Like, there's still surprising outliers where, like, that Sphinx piece in the left side but the bottom right of it, that piece is
it's huge,
about
right?
yay big.
Yeah.
And
it's Milivage, right?
Yeah, Milivage
Saran, yeah.
And that piece surprisingly only sold for $1,500, and this was what, a year and a half, 2 years ago?
Yeah. I mean, look, subject matter wise, personally, I don't find Sphinxes to be very interesting, so that could be a thing. I think that I don't know. It's weird because the piece next to it is Arcbound Ravager, and that piece is relatively small compared to the Sphinx, right? And what did that sell for? I think we have the number.
45 too.
Yep, $45,000. And
that's the playability of the card.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but and that's the weird
it's
thing,
a part
right?
of history, right?
So like for me personally, I appreciate, you know, the aspect of the card and how cool it is and how good the card is, but like personally, if the art kicks ass, I'm gonna be really happy if it's a terrible card because then I can get it much cheaper, and be thrilled to own this super sweet piece of art that if it was a crazy good card, I can't even imagine.
There's an interesting inverse too, where artists that I know did work for some of the earlier like stuff where they were just cranking out pieces and they weren't getting paid much. Some of their pieces ended up becoming very rare, and then now art that they really dislike of their own has become immortalized as one of the big pieces that they're
absolutely.
known
A lot of the
for.
alpha artists like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, look at Mark Poole. You see his stuff at LuxCon all the time. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it this year, but every year he has these big, beautiful paintings. And
Can you sign like 20 copies of my Ancestral
Birds of
Reach?
Paradise? Like, every single time, it's like...
Love this Birds of Paradise art. It's my favorite. I have
But
the
here's
tattoo.
the thing. If you ask Mark, you're like, how do you feel about Birds of Paradise? He's like, that thing bought my house. You know, like, it
But here's the
created
thing,
these
like,
opportunities.
I love the art of Birds of Paradise. I was a kid playing that card and just remember, you know, being able to tap for any color mana was awesome. Like, that was just, like, the attachment to it. Like, the art, I mean, okay, it's not, like, it's fine.
But that becomes your legacy as an artist at
Yeah.
some point. It's just kind of funny.
But what's weird is, like, Mark, he progressed. Like, his stuff now is insane. It's really, really good stuff. Like, I don't want to get this down to a dark path where some of the artists didn't progress or whatever, like, or just let...
But we're going there anyway. That's what we said.
You can go there. I'm going to skip.
That's literally what you start talking about.
Yeah, so...
But here, he said that sphinxes aren't a popular topic. Those fairies, which are a popular creature type, those fairies only went for how much? Can you look it up real quick?
Yeah, that's the one.
This was just a couple, maybe like last month or 2 months ago.
Is that Oko's Accomplices?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sold for $15.75.
And that was
it was pretty large too.
Yeah, like 12 by 16-ish.
Something like that. Yeah. So why?
Hard to tell.
Was it a good card? I think was it the one.
No, it's like a random common.
Yeah.
But it's
Was
still
that
fair.
in the market? I don't even remember
It
that
was.
auction.
It
See,
was.
that's what's so crazy. There were so many all at the same time. I don't even remember
It's
that
on
one.
Zizo Chen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was shipping out of China too. Right?
That's true.
Yeah,
Represented.
Mike's around here somewhere. He ran the auction, I think. So
Yeah.
How much did it go for?
1575.
Right, we're right.
So
You remember how big it was?
it was like 12 by 16 or something.
Almost like 15 by 19.
Was it really?
Huge.
Wow.
Yeah. So obviously, I guess the point to be taken is that auction was only what, less than 3 months ago?
That's like last month.
Yeah.
Or 2
So
months ago, maybe.
so you're getting a piece for under $2,000, and it's sweet. I mean, it's got fairies in it. It's a nice piece. So is it the card playability? Is it any given Sunday? Is it a mix of like, well, did this person that really would have loved it just pick up another piece a week before?
All the fairy collectors buy
Yeah.
other things.
So what's interesting is the next cards on the right side, the two on the far right are relatively new. You got Ugin and Boss, and they sold. They were pretty large
They
though.
they were both about this big.
Yeah, 18 by 24.
Yeah, and so
Well, the one was 18 by 24. No, they're bigger than that. Were
I
they?
thought they were bigger than that.
They
I think
might
they were
have been
36,
20 yeah,
24 by
36,
36.
yeah.
Yeah, and they sold for like around $35,000 each.
Yeah, they
I
were
think-
right at 30.
I think Bolas was 30, right?
No, they were both around 35. They sold within a couple $100 of each other.
Yeah.
But so the ones in the middle are the swords from the masterpiece set from like, was it Kaladesh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those I guess were a little bit before a lot of the interest sort of grew. Do you have
Also
the numbers on
comparing
those?
Swords to dragons.
That's true. I mean,
But it's about 4,000. I think Sword of Fire and Ice was over 10.
was it? I thought the Sword of Fire and Ice sold for around 8, but I don't have the number.
We couldn't pull the information from
Yeah.
eBay, so.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate, but eBay doesn't keep all the information. That's one of the other cool reasons Art Market, I think, is a good tool for collectors, because even if you don't, participate, it'll have the history for the last 2-3 years of all the different auctions. All right, so that actually goes to the next point, which is how to get a piece. So nobody here has heard of eBay, so it's a website that you can go on, right? Comic Link, all those different auction houses, Heritage, all those,
Heritage,
right? Personally, I have the search terms. I have all the different auction houses across the world, and I have my account with them, and I just put in, Magic and then the other stuff that I'm into, and I'll get the emails. And some of them are really, really difficult to navigate. I don't speak French, and there was a French one that was really difficult to get on. But thankfully, I have a buddy who was able to get on, and he auctioned it, and I was able to get the it was like some swamp that was really cool.
Log Wreckage by Brian Snoddy.
There you go. So shows and cons, obviously. I mean, there's Magic Art here at AluxCon. I think Rob Alexander still has the what's the guy doing the Thriller?
Serpent Skin.
There you go, Serpent Skin. Aaron Miller has a piece now. It's pretty large.
There's 2 on auction.
Yeah, and it's like less than $5,000. The piece is giant.
There's 2 on auction, and he has like 3 available.
Yeah, it's a bunch. So you've probably seen Magic Art, and you probably either didn't recognize like, oh, it's a Magic piece, like, or if you've never collected Magic Art before, it's around.
A lot of times nowadays, you can tell. Sometimes you can tell it's Magic Art because you're like looking at the other stuff that's priced by the artist.
1,000,
you're like, this is like
1,200.
a little bit more for the same thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's a Magic piece.
Yeah, Comic Art Fans is a good one.
That's like you can contact people who have pieces in their gallery that they post publicly. You can message them like, hey, are you interested in selling this? And it's one of the ways to get some pieces that you may not have thought were available.
Oh, so one interesting thing, like personally for me, again, it's all about the art. Well, I'd say like 75-80% about the art, 20% about the card, whatever. But one thing that I've done personally, where I've been able to get really, really cool pieces of art that just don't have the same expense of Magic Art, is by saying, oh, I don't care if it's Magic or not. I don't care if it's L5R. I don't care if it was from some game that died in production. If you contact Magic artists, or even pretty much any artist, and say like, oh, what's some of your slush stuff, or stuff that you just is in a file drawer somewhere that you don't really care about, you can get really cool stuff. I bought a piece off of Philip Berberin, who's kicking ass on Magic stuff now, and it was a non-Magic piece, and I was able to get it for like $700. Where if that was a Magic piece, it was a cool landscape and had some
$4,000, $5,000.
yeah, like easily. So that's another thing to think about when you're trying to collect from an artist that you love, because we all have our favorite artists, and sometimes like you get priced out of it really quickly. Anything by John Avon goes really, really high quickly. Chris Ron. But like Chris Ron right now on his website, if you go on his website right now, he has pieces for less than $500 that are non-Magic. One of them I think is his World of Warcraft
I don't think
character.
there's anything under
I think
500.
you're all going.
Are they gone?
I don't
He hasn't updated the
think
website.
them.
Oh, he might not have
They're
updated.
gone. They're gone.
Oh, well, I take all that back. All right. But the point still stands true. You can still find really cheap stuff, comparatively, if it's non-Magic.
But all this stuff is pretty self-explanatory. Like you can message an artist, you can message an artist agent.
Keep up on the art market on Facebook. I mean, look, personally, there's some stuff going on with Facebook that I don't love. I pretty much use Facebook just for the art market and like a couple other social media aspects related to artwork. The truth is there's no better forum right now. And I think that one of the reasons why Magic Art is so healthy is because there's a dedicated group of people that are centralized. And it's almost like if the crowd disperses, I don't know if it'll ever come back together like properly. And so that is a long-term fear of mine. And
I know
you know,
a
we've
lot of 14-year-olds, 8-year-olds that play Magic, so it's
sure.
The idea is that you have to keep congregating the people in one spot. Like, how long did it take the art market to get to where it was? Because originally we had a few groups for collecting Magic art, and you kind of have to funnel the people in. And over the last 2 years, growth has been incredible, and there's been more new people collecting Magic
And
art
faith.
than ever.
So you're getting a lot of the artists that have enough faith to be like, I don't need to support eBay. I don't need to spend the 10% on eBay. And now eBay's charging taxes, which is even worse, because now a piece that'll sell, not only is the artist losing the money on the eBay fees and all that, but now the artist has to realize, like, all right, well, people might not want to bid as much because now they have to factor in another 8, 10% on taxes as well. So the art market's really nice. Not that I would ever say that you have to avoid paying taxes, but personally, if the piece is sold through private messenger, I am certain that Uncle Sam gets his cut later on, but I can't verify that. But the idea is that at least you don't have eBay. Yeah, at least you have eBay. You have that eBay avoidance. So that's just something to think about. But long-term scale, I mean, this is also, it's not necessarily a statement, it's also a question. I don't know where that goes, because Facebook right now is involved in some shenanigans. There's all sorts of privacy issues. And so the long-term worry for me is that Facebook, I mean, look, it could go the way of MySpace where it just dies out and some other social media platform picks it up. But I've had this conversation with Dave over here, a buddy of mine, and talking about another centralized hub. And it's not just for Magic Art, it's also just for artists in general, because right now, like, where is the centralized hub for artists to share their stuff? I mean, you got like maybe DeviantArt, you got comic art fans.
And people just share on Instagram. Right?
Yeah, Instagram. But again, you're still at the mercy of some third party that could fall by the wayside because it's super popular.
Yeah, I mean, but here, like before Facebook was popular, people congregated on threads and forums.
Right.
And that's how they sold art. Now we use Facebook. I'm confident that life will find a way. Like,
Yeah.
people will always love art, and but like the question is like, can we find a better solution before there's actually a need?
So the point I'm making is like, if you look at the parallel of why Magic Art is so successful, sure.